CBS presents this program in color.
Living color.
Hold it. I think you're going to like this picture.
Ready? Go.
I'm ready. Let's go. Nothing more. Highly debatable. That's not debatable. That's true. J-O-N. Fans talking to fans. And here on the score. Wow, wow, wow. How you doing, everybody? Murph with you from now until 2 o'clock. Lots to do. Got about 5, maybe 10 hours to shove into the 2-hour show. Glad you're along. Murphapalooza, driven to you as always by Chevy. DrivesChicago.com. Today we're going to talk a lot. By the way, we are guest-free the first hour. That means fan talk. You and me, fans talking to fans. I will initiate some topics in a moment. 644-6767 remains our famous phone number. What's the area code, Murph? 312. We're downtown. 644-6767. I was walking around Chicago the other day and saw a radio station where you can look through the window and you can see like their control room and the on-air person and all that. You know, sort of cool. And I put my hands up and I looked closely and there's a little sign in there. It said, always give the area code. 644-6767. I'm not giving the stinking badges. We don't need no stinking badges. We are the Federales. All right, 312. Now, see, I like to throw out one-liners from movies, by the way. I find it, then all I got to do is get my golf game going, and I'll be in the newspaper. That's exactly right.
Round up the usual suspects.
Round up the usual suspects. All right, let's get moving here. Let's get rolling. We're going to talk White Sox and Cubs out of the box at 1 o'clock. Rocky Wirtz, owner, president, big boss, top man over at the Chicago Blackhawks, finally has a few minutes. He's been busy. He said, yeah, I'll call in today. That'll be around 1 o'clock on the Celebrity Line. We're going to talk a little Derrick Rose with Mike Murphy's special feature called Judge Murphy's Fans Court. So we're going to hit it all between now and 2 o'clock. But right now, I'd like you to text me the letter Y for yes or the letter N for no, powered by U.S. Cellular. Text me right now, Y or N, yes or no. In your opinion, did Derrick Rose orchestrate the changing of the grades all by himself? That's all I'm asking. Yes or no. This will be used as evidence in the fans' court in the next hour. 67011, right, fellas? Our texting number, 67011. Y or N, yes or no. We'll make it very simple for you, not that you need it simplified. Did Derrick Rose orchestrate all this by himself? And I'm sure you know what all this is, as the story has what they call in Hollywood legs. Knows how to use it. All right. I want to visit on the baseball front. And these are sort of parallel stories. By the way, anything you want to talk about from the Cubs weekend, the White Sox weekend? How about the White Sox biggest win of the year yesterday? You take the third in a row from the Royals. You've been taking 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, right? Right, White Sox fans? Then you had the first 2 and you figure, well, you know what? What are the odds? In fact, John DeWan tomorrow, State of the Week at noon, will tell us how often a 3-game series is swept as opposed to, 2 out of 3. So you're thinking yesterday, all right, 3 consecutive series, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. First 2 games with Kansas City, WW. What were the chances you were thinking of with Greinke on the mound? Huh? Who a lot of people pronounce Grinke, even though it's an E, not an I. Dadgummit. Wendy's is Wendy's. It's a sort of a Chicago thing, but or Southern thing, right? Might be a Southern thing. Dadgummit. What did you think? Was that not the White Sox? I haven't heard anybody calling today about this. It was, in my opinion, the White Sox biggest win of the season. Look at what you do. You take 3 in a row from the Royals and you leapfrog them. Cub fans, I want to ask you this. And boy, oh boy, it's fun to boo at the old ballpark. Hey, you buy the ticket, you got the right to boo. I understand that. We're not going to get into that topic. It still amazes me. It befuddles me on occasion that every time, 162 games, 81 at home, right? You hope to win maybe 45 or 50 at home. If you do that, it's, you're doing terrific. You're going to lose some games at home, and you pay your ticket, you go there, and every time the one little thing goes wrong, my God. It's a different world. It's a different era. That I do understand. So Sox fans and Cubs fans, let's get down to the point here. Sox fans, do you want a pitcher coming to the White Sox that doesn't want to be there? All right? Now, we're talking about Jake Peavy, talking about Roy Oswalt. See all these rumors in the paper? I want to hear from Sox fans. Big picture. 644-6767. Are you upset at these guys? Are you mad at these guys? Why wouldn't you want to pitch for the White Sox? Is that what you're saying? Indignantly? Or think it over. Do you want a guy playing for your team that doesn't want to be there, but he's going to come because he thinks he can make more dough? I'll remind you, all baseball fans, both sides of town, of a guy by the name of Freddie McGriff. Crime dog. Left-handed thumper. Everybody here remember Freddie McGriff? Was it Little Ed Lynch or Andy the Clown? It was I think it was after Larry Hines. Well, there was a horse's horse. But Freddie McGriff, gotta have him, gotta get him, made a trade. Then he said no, and then he finally sat out, and then he finally said, yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming to the Cubs. And he was horse blank. Got a lot of horses in here today. Freddie McGriff didn't want to be with the Cubs, and he stunk up the joint. Now, Cub fans, on the same parallel, Sox fans, do you want a guy that doesn't want to be on your team? Be it Oswalt. Be it Jake Peavy. Oh, by the way, did you find it interesting that this time around, Kenny Williams...
Quite honestly, this is starting to piss me
Kenny,
off.
I haven't even said anything yet. Did you notice that this time around, Kenny did not actually announce the trade with Houston before he had it blown out of the water? Yep, White Sox would like to announce, this just in, White Sox would like to announce they've just made a major trade with the San Diego Padres, the lefty Richard and the lefty Aaron Parada for Jake Peavy. Oh, check that. He has a no trade. He won't come. Remember that PR stroke of brilliance? Not a nightmare, stroke of brilliance. Then why was it that this time the Sox didn't announce the White Sox have just traded, and since he only has 1 year left, unlike Peavy, you wouldn't have to give the second guy. Why wouldn't the Sox have announced yesterday or the day before the Houston Chronicle beat him to the punch? How come Kenny didn't slide out the old PR press release all around town saying White Sox have just traded Aaron Parada for Roy Oswalt, and then the next day go, oops, sorry, never mind. Cub fans, let me ask you this. I believe it's parallel. Do you believe Jim Hendry planned on payroll flexibility in the June-July area this year? Cub fans, do you believe that Jim Hendry planned payroll flexibility in the June-July area this year? Why do I ask that? By the way, Vuk is on your side, my guy Jeff Vukovich. Murph's Nationwide Insurance Agent of the Year. Vuk for all your insurance needs, solid as a rock. Park Ridge, 30 years, same location, family guy, sports guy, a big scorehead. Vuk, Jeff Vukovich. Cub fans, Jim Hendry admitting in the Tribune today to Freddie Mitchell, quote, some conventional wisdom, Freddie Mitchell writes, held that Mark DeRosa was dealt to Cleveland for pitching prospects who would be traded for Jake Peavy. Cubs GM Jim Hendry acknowledges now, this is in today's Tribune, that the lingering sale of the team has limited his personnel flexibility. Quote, we've been for sale now for 2.5 years almost. It's hard on a franchise of this size, Hendry said. We got through it for a long time very well. The last 4 or 5 months has taken its toll, not just on how you run the club day to day, but the overall situation. It's not easy to deal with. Not that we were not able to put a club together, but it would be nice to have this thing done and behind us. Cub fans, do you think that right now Jim Hendry is surprised that he doesn't have payroll flexibility. Hey, Andy, what do you think?
Payroll is not going to keep us from winning.
644-6767. And before we go to the phones, I see White Sox fans have commandeered the phone lines. Did Derrick Rose orchestrate this by himself? Yes or no? Y or N? 67011. I will need your input there for Judge Murphy's Fans Court a little bit later in the show. Did Derrick Rose orchestrate all this by himself? Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Here's Jim Hendry on May 5. What's that? Less than a month ago. Here on The Score with Mully and Hanley. Hey, you always want a little more dough, right?
The Ricketts family. Where's that at? Where's the sale of the team? Is that holding you up at all? Is it having any kind of impact?
Well, Mully and I we're well on our way to the $25 million. We got about 200 collected. We want to be shareholders. Yeah.
Have you ever met a GM that always didn't want more money? You wouldn't want that guy in the job if he didn't want to always keep getting better players, more players.
There you go, Jim Hendry, absolutely correct. There's never been a GM who didn't want more payroll. What? There was one. Let's get to the phone line. Sox fans, do you want a guy that doesn't want you? Cub fans, do you think Jim Hendry now, because of Sam Zell and his reluctance to lower the price so that the new owner can run in Ricketts and buy his team and hand over the rights to Jim Hendry to start negotiating for more talent? Is this going to hurt the Cubs this year? Let's go to Arlington Heights. Dave on The Score. Hello, David.
How you doing, Murph?
I'm fine, Dave. Jump in.
Yeah, regarding picking up a pitcher that doesn't want to play, I'd say absolutely not. Do you remember when the Sox picked up Tom Seaver after Cincinnati hadn't protected him? The guy did nothing but whine about, trade me, I shouldn't even be on this team. And they would have had a pretty good rotation, on paper had a pretty good rotation at the time, but I think his whining and bellyaching about being on a team he didn't want pretty much tarnished the pitching reputation he had built up before that.
Now, there's going to be, I agree with you, Dave, but there's going to be a guy in the car right now that's going, you know what? These guys, Peavy, Oswalt, Dave and Arlington Heights, they're being paid $10 million, $15 million. By God, they ought to come over and work hard. They're being paid. How do I answer that next phone call?
Well, because we allow them to bellyache and exactly get their way. I think the ability of the team to manage the players' behaviors ended long ago.
Right.
And so a guy knows he can make it miserable for the team and for the fans by just being that way.
Hey, I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for getting us rolling, buddy.
All right, Murph. Take care.
All right, pal. 644-6767. And I want to ask you this. If you watched the Sunday night game last night, did you notice Derek Lee? Cubs are losing 8-0. Bottom of the sixth inning. Men on first and third, one out. He was hit by a pitch. Just grazed. Might have just been the uniform. The uni, as they call it. Just grazed him. Did you see what he did? See what happened? See, it was a beautiful grounded into double play set up for him right there. First and third, one out, down 8-0. Roll it over, 6-4-3, bingo to bango to Bilko. Did you see what D. Lee did when he got hit by the pitch? And was that the White Sox biggest win of the year yesterday? I'm going to say it is, but I want to hear from Sox fans also. 644-6767, Murphapalooza back in a flash. Sports Radio 670, it's The Score. Murph till 2, glad you're along for the ride. Roll the windows down. What a beautiful day in Chicago. Driving in on Lakeshore Drive, heading into town. Sounds beautiful. All right, let's get right back to the phones. But among our topics right now, Sox fans, do you want a guy that doesn't want to be with you? Groucho Marx, I don't want to join any club that would have me as a member. This is like the reverse, the antithesis. I don't want to be there. They want me. I'm not going. Sox fans, do you want them to join your club, guys like Peavy and Oswalt, and Cub fans, Jim Hendry to Freddie Mitchell today? Well, you know what? He says right now it's taken its toll on how you run the club, not just day to day, but overall, that being not having clear-cut ownership at the top to okay flexibility. And some quick notes, the Sox are now in biggest game of the year yesterday for the White Sox. They moved back into second place. And you know my whole theory. Games behind in the standings only count when you're in second place. So the Red Sox right now are 4 games back, total games behind 4. They were as many as 8 total games behind as recently as Friday morning, just 4 days ago. And Chicago Cubs, not so good right now. Total games behind. Well, I know in the standings what they are, but don't look at the standings unless you're in second place, games behind. Let me tell you something right now. The Cubs are, this morning, a full 9 total games behind. Total games behind, 9. Don't be fooled by what you see in the paper. They got to catch up with too many teams right now. So until you're in second place, you ain't even looking good. Also, Sean Marshall, first inning. He gave up, 6 hits? 2 of them were well struck, hard hit. The other 4 I'll count as hits, don't get me wrong. A couple ground balls, a duck snort, and a broken bat hit. Point is, Sean Marshall's best pitch is the big old jug handle curveball. He never threw it in the first inning. And you might not have realized he never threw a curveball. He threw fastballs and straight change. You might have never realized he never threw a curveball, the big old Uncle Charlie, the deuce, the yacker, the yellow hammer. He never threw the curveball in the first inning. You might not have realized it until around the 4th inning when Sunday Night TV, like they do, they had the interview with Joe Torre between innings. They tape it, then they roll it. Then Lou Piniella between innings, then they roll it. Did you hear what Lou Piniella said? They asked him, hey, what happened to Sean Marshall, Lou, in the first inning? He goes, he never threw the curveball. Oh, my God, that's right. He never did throw the curveball. And then you think to yourself, well, why is Lou boasting about this? Wouldn't that be something that, A, you send Larry Rothschild out and say, hey, young man, throw the curveball? Or don't you have some, Little League high school where you flash from the dugout to Gio Soto? Hold up 2 fingers to him, curveball. Why would Lou say that? You know what? If you saw that, we are not allowed to play broadcast replays from that competitor, which is fine. So I can't replay that. If you saw that moment, give me a quick call, 644-6767. Tell me what you heard Lou Piniella to say, right? I want someone else to verify it because I, frankly, couldn't believe he would say that. Let's go to Brian, Lake in the Hills. Chad, Frank, Bob, Jim, everybody on hold. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Murph, how you doing?
Fine, Brian. Where do you want to take us here?
Oswald and Peavy. Don't want them.
Yeah, if they don't want you, why do you want them, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be one thing if they don't want to be here because they're trying to get some extra money on the back end of their contract, but if they don't want to play at the Sal because it's a bandbox or because of Ozzie, I don't want them. I mean, I would say 2 things.
Yeah.
Esteban Loaiza, wasn't he second in the Cy Young in 03? Where's he at now? I mean, you can win at the Sal if you're a good pitcher.
And you're right. Let's go a step farther, Brian. You know what? Let's say you're a general manager of another team, and 2-3 years from now Oswald's on his walk year, Peavy's got the 4 with the option 5, whatever. That's not here nor there. If you're a GM, are you going to look at a guy's ERA, knowing he pitched half the games at U.S. Cellular, and not have your numbers guy? Every team's got a numbers guy now, Brian. And if you know that, 30% more runs are scored or whatever at U.S. Cellular, aren't you going to factor those numbers out? Why would a guy like Peavy or Oswald think that the other GMs are so stupid that they go, oh, my God, I'm not going to give him a look-see because he had a high ERA? Isn't everyone pretty well aware that the ball can fly out of both Wrigley Field and U.S. Cellular by now?
Absolutely. I think those 2 are just looking for the perfect park to pitch in. They're concerned about their stats. But
it doesn't matter. But see, it shouldn't matter to stat. Brian, I'm going to take a few more calls. Phone again, okay, buddy?
Sure.
See, it shouldn't care. The stats shouldn't factor. GMs now, they got every piece of statistical information. They don't know that U.S. Cellular, Wrigley Field, the balls can fly out of there. Bear fan Bob. Hello, Bob.
Oh, Mike, it's a beautiful day up here in Twin Lakes. Always a pleasure.
Oh, man, sounds great. What do you have for the party here, Bob?
I think about your last caller with Peavy and the money and everything.
Yeah.
I don't want them either. They're going to get paid no matter where they go.
Right.
And what it really comes down to is they're going to be a clubhouse turd no matter where they go, no matter what they do. And what they're really telling you is that they don't want to listen to their coaches. The truth of the matter is, I think Ozzie Guillen, Don Cooper, and Greg Walker are some of the best coaches in MLB. If you don't want to listen to your coaches and do what you're told to do, please go away. There's plenty of people in line. We'll find somebody who will pitch and who will do the things that you're asked to do.
The other thing, Bob, you want a guy who in his heart wants to be there. And I'll throw it back to about 10 years ago, a guy named Fred McGriff. The Cubs danced and courted and asked him out. And finally, begrudgingly, he came, and he was he was that word you used a minute ago. Hey, Bob, I'm going to take a few more calls.
Have a good one.
Thank you, buddy. Murph-a-Palooza back on Flash. I'm going to start with, Jim from Evergreen Park wants to talk Cubs. Car phone Frankie next in line. Sox fan Chad from Rockford, 644-6767. And I want to hear from a Cub fan who saw and heard and can repeat back to me to make sure I'm not losing my mind what Lou Piniella said about Sean Marshall's first inning when the ESPN camera caught him in the interview around the middle there of the fifth inning. 644-6767. It's Murph till 2. Let's get back to the phones. I'm driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. White Sox biggest win of the year. Sweep the Royals. In those 3 games, the White Sox pick up 3 full games on Kansas City. They leap into second place, 4 games back, and total games back 4 also. Cubs right now about 9 total games behind. Sox game yesterday. How about the bullpen? Octavio Dotel. This guy Dotel, he's throwing about 92, 93, 95. He's like a kid out there again. I don't know how long his arm can keep it up, but right now he's just lights out. 3 more strikeouts yesterday. In comes Thornton, and when this guy's on, he's unhittable. Strikeout, pop out, ground out. Great bullpen, and Bobby Jenks, a clean 9th inning. And the Cub game, I'll tell you one thing, Milton Bradley, he's getting all the 2-strike calls now. Have you noticed this? Remember the guy that everyone said, he should keep his yappers shut? What was that, about 7 days ago? Just keep your mouth shut, Bradley. When he said, once I get 2 strikes, the umpires are all, I'm paraphrasing here, the umpires are all against me, trying to stick it to me when I have 2 strikes, which, in my opinion, they had been doing. Have you noticed in the last 7 days, anytime he has 2 strikes now, the next pitch, doesn't matter where it is. Ball 2, outside, ball 3. They have, if I look this up, I'll bet you he doesn't have one backward K since it occurred, unless it was just frozen pizza down the middle and he froze and took it right down the center, right down the pipe. Let's bring up holding the longest in order. I got, that'll be Chad, Frank, Jim have been holding the longest. Let's go to Rockford Chad on the score. Hello, Chad.
Hey, Murph, how's it going?
Fine, thanks for hanging in there, buddy.
Hey, a huge win yesterday. Not only did they win, but they came from behind against probably the best pitcher in baseball right now.
Well, Greinke is maybe the best pitcher in baseball. If not, we can definitively say he's one of the top 3 or 4 right now.
Right.
He's in a groove. And, 2 out of 3 is fine. There's nothing wrong with on the road against a team ahead of you going 2 out of 3. But how much bigger, huge is it to take 3 out of 3 from them at home with their ace on the mound?
Exactly. Hey, a couple quick points about Peavy and Oswalt.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, a couple comments that they made of how they didn't want to come to the American League.
Yeah.
They don't have confidence in themselves in the American League. And if they came here with that same attitude, then they aren't going to be successful. So why would we want them?
So
the one that intrigues me the most is Eric Bedard. He's already been in the American League. He's spent his whole career there. He's had success. And I would accept him, but the other 2, they're going to come here and suck because they don't want to pitch here anyway.
Well, everything you say, and you add a new layer to the cake right here, as we love Chad and Eric Bedard. And I heard Mully and Hanley this morning with some anecdotal evidence that he's not the best guy in the locker room, but when healthy, and he is again right now, it appears, he's one of the best lefties out there. The Orioles only moved him because it was coming up on his walk-away year. They got some of the young guys, including, I think his name's Jones out there, Adam Jones, the Orioles center fielder now. But I love Eric Bedard, and you can certainly put up with his idiosyncrasies for 1 season, right?
Sure. We put up with Ozzie.
Thank you, Chad. I don't see the parallel, but thank you, Chad. 644-6767. Let's go back to hey, Gio Soto. He must have 2 injuries. 2. He must have, number 1, shoulder trouble still, because he can't throw the way he used to. And he's got to have, and they haven't mentioned it, which is their prerogative. I'm 100% behind any sports team that doesn't want to tell you who's hurt, who's not. It's none of the fans' business. But he must also still have a wrist injury of some sort, because at least once a game, when he takes the full swing, the hand flies off the bat. He doesn't keep the hand, and not the Walt Riniak Charlie Lau. I mean, it flies off the bat. Yikes. Let's go to Frank and Jim, and then, we got Franks and Jims everywhere. Hello, Frank.
Hey, Murph, how you doing? Great show, buddy.
Hey, well, thank you, my friend. Welcome. What do you have for me?
I just want to touch on this whole Kenny Williams-Peavy thing. First of all, Peavy already stated he wanted to stay in the National League. He named teams he wanted to be with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Kenny Williams knew about that. So I kind of question Kenny Williams. Is he serious about going after these guys, or is just they're going to look like they're trying to do something?
Well, that's up to you to decide, because we don't know, but it doesn't look good when you announce a trade and then you go, oh, by the way, it's not a trade because he had the right to say no trade. Yeah. Then how come you just don't do the same and announce the Roy Oswalt trade and then do the same thing? Oh, sorry, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, why is he going after guys with no trade clause? I mean, if you really want to make a trade, won't he go get somebody?
I don't know. I'm sure he still will make a deal. I would hope if that's what he wants, I hope he does. I can't answer the earlier question. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just something, I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought I'd express it. So
you and I have to think. That's for him to know and you and me to find out.
There you go.
Thanks, Frank.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it. 644-6767. Do you want a guy that doesn't want to be on your team? Freddie McGriff. White Sox biggest win of the year. Check this out. On Friday morning in your newspaper, the White Sox were in 4th place, 5 back, and the Royals were in 3rd place, 3.5 back. You sweep a team best of 3, even I can do these numbers. You pick up 3 games. So this morning in your paper, the White Sox leapfrog from 4th to 2nd, 4 back. Kansas City falls to 4th place, 5.5 back. What I'm saying is the Sox were a game and a half behind. Now they're a game and a half ahead. But the key is, and it only took me about 40 years of being a baseball fan to realize this, until you're in 2nd place, the standings mean 0. Nothing. Because you're not going to leapfrog all those teams. They're not going to all lose above you every day. Cubs right now, a long way back, 9 total games behind. The White Sox, 4 total games behind. Let's bring in car phone Frank and then Jim. Hello, Frank.
Hey, Murph, how are you?
Fine, buddy. Thank you.
Murph, could you imagine, I don't know what baseball has become, especially pitcher. Could you imagine 40 years ago Jim Bunning saying when they traded him from the Tigers to the Phillies, you know what, I'm not going to the National League. It's too tough.
Well, we know what.
Basically, that's what them guys are saying. It's too tough.
Right.
But I don't blame them because the American League.
Well, you know what, Frank, let's keep the conversation. It's a good topic, but let's not degenerate into this league sucks, that league sucks, because we can do better than that. But you raised a great point. But let's not forget this, Frank. Back in those days, there was the reserve clause. They were anchored to one team for life. And if they were traded, the contract was simply transferred to the new team. And that was wrong. Now there is free agency, as you know, after 6 years. But the players have earned the right to put the no trade in. You will agree to that, right?
Absolutely. But it comes down in this PV deal and now Oswalt, it comes down to one thing.
Yeah.
Without coming out in the papers and saying that these guys don't want to pitch against the American League lineups.
Well, whatever the reason is, they don't want to be with the Sox, or they don't want to be in the American League, or the cow jumps over the moon. The point is, they're saying no, so why would you want them?
That's right.
There you go.
What? And it's a blessing in disguise because Clayton Richard is going to be another Mark Bingo. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
Now, don't get us wrong, Frank. Peavy's a hell of a player, but Richard, I'm a big fan of Clay Richard, and I think he's going to be a solid number 3 for any team, any time, for a long time to come, if not better. But a better than a 4, a 3 in my eyes, maybe a number 2. Who the hell knows? Thank you, Frank. Thank you, buddy. Final caller right now. We'll take a break. It back to the phones. Evergreen Park Jim. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Murph. Great show.
Thank you.
Hey, I asked a question earlier about the flexibility for Jim Henry and if he anticipated or expected it. I think he definitely did, and I think he's showing right now, especially with his frustration, that he's not going to have it. The 40 guys they got on that roster are the 40 men they're going to have. I think the only good thing they might have is if Ramirez can come back. It's almost like making a trade. What it comes down to, Murph, is in the past they've had the flexibility and they've had the money to go out and get Garcia Parra and stuff like that. I don't know what you think, but I don't think it's going to happen. And these guys just need to step up and play better or they're going nowhere.
Well, of course they need to step up, and I don't know if Gio Soto's hurt. Now Soriano's got a knee. I don't know when when Ramirez might come back. Now they're saying surgery at the end of the year. He's going to tough it out this year. 50-50. I don't know if I like the sound of that either. How about Derek Lee yesterday? Did you watch some of the game on the network game last night?
Yes.
All right, I don't know if you saw this, but you're pretty sharp, Jim. You've been calling for years. I love your angle. It was the bottom of the sixth. Cubs are losing 8-0. Derek Lee was up with first and third and one out, and I'm thinking, oh, no, anything but a ground ball double play. The pitch hit looked like just a blouse of the uniform. Take your base. He looked at the umpire. Did you see the umpire says, take your base, hit by pitch, and he didn't want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I did notice
why would he not want to go? They send him to first. Now it's base loaded, one out, and Reed Johnson cracks a double, 2-run score. You might have a big inning. Soto strikes out, and then Hoffpower flies out. But what do you think of a player that says, I don't want to take first base down by 8?
I was going to say, when you're down by 8, what have you heard for 1,000 years? All you need is base runners, and especially the way he's been hitting.
I don't even know.
Sometimes the guys in the Cubs that are supposed to be smart players make me wonder.
I even wonder, let's score 0-0 first and third, one out. Do I want him to be hitting a ground ball double play? Maybe take the base, young man. Jim, got to run.
Thanks, Murph.
Thank you, buddy. Sports Radio 670. It's Murph, back in a flash. Rocky Wirtz at 1 o'clock, and I'll give you our final results for later, Judge Murphy's fan court. Yes or no right now. Y for yes, N for no. 67011, powered by U.S. Cellular. Right now, did Derek Rose orchestrate this whole thing by himself? Yes, he did, all by himself. Why? The letter Y. No, he didn't orchestrate this by himself. The letter N. Right now, quick, I need you. 67011. Murph till 2.
Kind of baseball. It's just kind of the way the ball, rolled today, and it was unfortunate to get a loss and to put the team in the hole early. But Lou let me go out there and try to keep the team in the game and save the bullpen, and I really do appreciate that.
Wow, Sean Marshall after the game on his outing. Murph till 2. Rocky Wirtz in a few minutes. Also, Judge Murphy's fans court with your input now. Very appreciate. I'll hand this over to Judge Murph. Yes or no? Here's what the results came in. Yes, 12%. No. No way. 88%. Murph, I just got in the car. What was the text question? Did Derek Rose orchestrate all this all by himself? Yes, Murph, he did this all by himself. Changed the grades, got someone to sit in for him on his SATs. He did it all by himself, like the lone gunman theory from JFK, like the Lone Ranger, Tonto's pal. He did it all by himself. 12% of you. 88% of you go, no, are you kidding me? We'll cover that in a little while. Now, that was Sean Marshall on his outing. I have not heard this next cut. Brendan got this right. Let's listen to it. Here's Lou Piniella after the game. Why Sean Marshall did not use his breaking pitches. Now, what's going to be interesting here is Sean Marshall didn't use any breaking balls in the first inning. Fastball, straight change. Some little dunkers, broken bats, seeing eye hits, but a couple right on the old button. And he's down 5-0 with 6 hits in the first inning. Why is that so important? Well, in the fifth inning, when Lou Piniella came on with the between-inning interview that they roll like it's live during the next half inning, he said, boy, oh boy, Sean Marshall never threw a curveball in the first inning. We're wondering, well, why not? Here's Lou after the game.
He didn't use his breaking ball at all. I mentioned that to our pitching coach.
Good.
He didn't use his breaking ball at all in the first inning. I think he threw one breaking ball the whole first inning. And, he's got to pitch with all his pitches.
Well, all I know is that Sean Marshall, he's not going to blow you away. like Steve Stone has that expression, the wipeout pitch. See, Marshall doesn't really lie on a wipeout pitch like Bobby Jenks, the wipeout pitch like Carlos Marmol, swing and a miss, wipeout pitch. I love that phrase. I'm going to steal that from Stoney. He hasn't got a trademark or a copyright on it. Oh, I can use that then, right? See, what Marshall does is he junk balls you to death, and then the 88-mile-an-hour fastball whoosh, might just freeze you. He never threw the curveball. One time in the first inning, Lou says, I talked to the pitching coach. A little late. I love Lou, but Lou, I don't understand that at all. All right, Rocky Wirtz, Bulls Talk, Derek Rose, more baseball. It's Murph, hour number 1 near Pluto right now, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. Sox talk, Bears talk, Bulls talk, but you know what? We always have time for a little Blackhawks talk. Celebrity line ringing. He said he'd give us a call. Good for his word always. Let's say hello to Rocky Wirtz, Blackhawks chairman. It's Mike Murphy. Hello, Rocky.
Hey, Murph, how are you?
Oh, I'm just catching my breath now from the most exciting Blackhawks season in most of our lifetimes. Fans, it's Rocky Wirtz. Rocky, if the fans want a quick call, hey, leave a couple phone lines open if 1 or 2 fans want to say hi to Rocky, the most accessible guy in the world. 644-6767. Last time you and I spoke, Rocky, well, about 6 weeks ago, you'd just been down at some pub watching the game in Florida, and I think it was even called Murphy's.
Exactly. You know it had to be a good place.
Oh, I know that. Hey, Rocky, have you finally settled down? Is your blood pressure finally back down? What have you done everyone's got to decompress. What have you done, if we may ask, the last week or so to try to just catch your breath? I
tell you, I have to admit, on this weekend, I didn't do anything. I just sat at home. Yeah. We had my wife Marilyn and the 2 beagles, and I did nothing. I watched the Stanley Cups on TV, and I did enjoy that, and did absolutely nothing. Cooked on the barbecue and just relaxed.
You know, growing up as a boy out in the western suburbs, we always had beagle dogs. I tell you what, there's nothing like when they see a rabbit and they make that howling sound.
You know what? You're absolutely right. You can't hold them back. And but if you ever take yourself too seriously, just go and take that. Listen to those beagles and realize, you're so full of yourself. You just better not think that way.
Hey, Rocky, on the sports beat, some fans, they have a sort of theory, and everybody's got their own way of looking at things. Let's say Cub fans, Sox fans, they go, boy, if we don't make it to the World Series, it's not a successful season. Some Bulls fans go, come on, Murph, if you don't make it to the NBA Finals. Maybe Bears fans out there, hey, Murph, if you don't make the Super Bowl, how can you call it successful? Let me ask you, Rocky, how would you characterize this past season in your eyes?
It was a terrific season, but we fell a little short, and that was our ultimate goal of winning the Stanley Cup. And the important thing for the fans or anyone else, we just finished this all staff meeting with everyone from the hockey operations, the business, is that you set your sights high enough, and every year, every day, every month, we want to get better. And as long as the fans know that we're going to try to get better and work on it all the time, that's all you can ask for ourselves, and we'll eventually get there.
Rocky, there's always the dilemma of, hey, the old it ain't broke, why fix it? Jim Hendry, the fine general manager, I'll say that. I think he does a great job with the Cubs, but now fans are calling the sports talker here called The Score, and they go, hey, you know what? It really wasn't broken last year. They did lose to the Dodgers, the Cubs, in the playoffs, but maybe, this is not my speaking, but fans go, you know what, maybe he shouldn't have tinkered so much. How do you address if a fan calls me and goes, you know what, I think the Hawks don't tinker too much?
Well, I think with a young team, it's different depending on everyone. It's real easy to play someone else's cards for them. But as far as the Blackhawk cards, we have a terrific nucleus of young players, and anytime we can try to improve on that, Dale and his staff are going to do that. And just from our standpoint, for the top is he has no inhibitions to do that. I mean, he can go ahead and do it. We have to work within the salary cap, but every other team has to work within that same cap. So there's something to play for these great fans and this terrific city. So there are going to be players that might want to go in, and you think about some of those other teams that have plenty of cap room, but you have to play in those cities versus Chicago. I think that we're going to see a lot of these players want to stay in Chicago for just that reason.
Rocky, I, as a fan, and this is Pollyanna-ish, but I always say, I don't worry about the salary cap, because that's not my worry. I'm just a fan. It's not my checkbook. It's not my rules. I'm not a capologist. But I thought it was very interesting, you just pointed out, the salary cap is there for everybody, right? All teams equally have the salary cap.
That's right. So you don't have Team A that says, I'm going to give you $100 million for one of your star players, and that, but he has to fill the team too. So as long as we all play by the same ground rules, then it's fair. And that's what the National Hockey League took a year off, and it was very painful at the time, but just so that we could have a method and a means to be able to run our franchise. With that in mind, we can have very good teams years to come if we follow a very good system that we're in the process of implementing, which I do have complete faith in John McDonough and Dale Talon to be able to do that.
Hey, Rocky, you always visit with the fans after some games. You're down there by Fandemonium. You don't have a seat up in the super suite up there. You sit right down with the fans. So I didn't ask you off the air, but I'm guessing it's okay if I slide a few calls from the fans want to say hi to you. Is that okay?
I'm happy to talk to anybody.
Beautiful. Let's bring in car phone. Sean is his name. Is that you, Sean?
That's me, Sean. That's about you, baby.
Say hi to Rocky Wirtz, Sean.
Hello, Rocky Wirtz.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Awesome, sir. Thanks for taking my call. Rocky, with all the stuff that, for the past 2 seasons you pulled out, bringing the old players back, the games back on TV, the radio is awesome. Is it going to be more of a challenge of coming up with new ideas or just being consistent?
Well, I think it's a combination. You want to, any good business always works off of innovation. And these tough times, innovation is what's going to get you to the next level. And I think what you've seen on the Hawks so far, and, Jay Blanc on the business side and John are into innovation, and all our staff, we are lucky enough to have one of the youngest front office staffs in all of sports. So with these young folks, they're out there thinking always on how to get themselves and make the team better, not just the Dale Talons of the world. So you're going to see a new and improved fan convention this summer. We sold out again. It's bigger than it was last year, but we're going to have plenty of access to players and question and answers period. So I think it's going to be always trying to do something that's a little different, and we're going to have some fun in doing it.
Great. So how was New York?
Well, New York was great. I mean, I was lucky enough. I got nominated myself for Sportsman of the Year, and Dick Ebersol from NBC won it, and he deserved it. He's a fine, sportsman and businessman. And the Hawks were were nominated too, and the Boston Celtics won. But just for us getting as an organization 2 nominations for the Sports Business Journal, we were very, very pleased and very, very fortunate.
Hey, Sean, thanks for jumping in. I'm going to take a few more calls. All right, Sean? Thank you, buddy. Now, Rocky, as far as, and I believe the Versus contract was pretty much before you got your feet settled in, how often do you hear from the fans before, during, after those games, emails, messages about how they are affected, how they enjoy or say, where the hell is this? What are your thoughts in the future? You had nothing to do with this, I believe, but how does Versus sit for they got another couple of years on the deal, I believe?
Well, it's as I said, it's easy to do something else and criticize when someone else is there. But I think the league is trying to do everything they can to expose this great sport. So obviously NBC is their lead dog, and they had 2 games over the weekend, and then they have Versus for those other games. So whatever the league can do to do a better job. Locally we've tried to do that with Comcast Sportsnet to have every game on, or on WGN for free, on over-the-air television. So I think that the league will be able to work out a more acceptable TV deal. But they have to grow the sport in doing that. When they did that deal with Versus, it's right after we had our lockout. So there's a lot that was going on.
So, Rocky, honestly, did you think about growing the beard, the playoff beard? Did it ever cross your mind to go with the beard or what?
Well, if I did, I was worrying about it looking like Patrick Kane's, and I don't think I could take the ridicule.
Oh, Oh, no. Let's go to one or two more quick callers. We'll let Rocky Wirtz get on with his busy day. Let's bring in Deerfield, Illinois. Peter's on the score. Go ahead, Peter.
Hi, Rocky. How are you?
Hi, Peter. How are you?
I'm a season ticket holder from the Barn as well as the new United Center, and I got to tell you, like most fans, I'm extremely happy with what I see and what's happening. My question to you is, in watching and knowing we're in the Final Four now, it appears to me there's still a higher level we need to attain in order to be competitive and be able to beat Detroit on a regular basis. And it appears to me we may be one or two experienced players away from reaching that level. And I'd like to hear your comments on that.
Sure, Peter. I think there's certainly a train of thought about, an extra player or two, but you can't necessarily buy your way to beating Detroit. The way you're going to beat Detroit is to have your players learn the system. The system is you work hard for all games, and then, you're preparing yourself for another second season in the Stanley Cups. And so what you saw today, and you saw for that 6-week period, is you saw a very talented hockey team because they had learned from their successes. They won the Cup last year. They knew what they had to do. You saw them this year doing this. You saw the first two games in Pittsburgh and how they really played well at home, how important home ice is because of all those, when you get 82 games, it's grinding on you. So why you have to be in superb shape? So I think that it's more of the players you have, which you can always tweak it here or there, but on what they learn to have to really sacrifice to take it to that next level. Next year, we just can't show up and expect to be in the conference finals. You got to earn it, and I think that's something the players learned this year.
Hey, Peter, thanks for checking in from Deerfield, buddy. Appreciate it very much. Eddie Olczyk, and we love Eddie. Eddie's the best. He had one of those columns where they asked him the other day. He didn't write it, but the writer said, you be the commissioner for a day, Eddie Olczyk. And he had some great little ideas, Rocky Wirtz, such as one was if you have a visor on your helmet, you're not allowed to fight. Another one was if your helmet comes off, the fight must end. Just stuff that maybe the fans, not that you have any ideas that the commissioner hasn't heard of yet, but what would you say is the number one thing you hear from the fans that maybe you have or would, sort of mention to the commissioner?
Well, I think just exposing the game to as many different ways as you can. Mm-hmm. I think using television, web page, any way you can communicate with your fans, from your telephone to your radio to anything you have. The Score has a web page for a reason, because you want to communicate with your listeners more than just what you're doing. And so I think that anything you can do to tap and listen to how young people communicate, that's really where it's going to go to going forward.
Slide one or two quick calls in with Rocky Wirtz, Murph on the Score Sports Radio 670, Lincolnwood. Hello, Chris.
Hey, what's up, Murph?
Good, Chris. Say hi to Rocky.
Hey, Chris.
I certainly will. Hi, Rocky. How you doing?
Nice talking with you, Chris.
You too. Hey, I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for kind of injecting a little bit of the working man, blue-collar attitude that I think any good sport team can benefit from. Your accessibility and, just the way the people rock the stadium, the arena when
thank you.
Hawks are playing. I moved here 4 years ago from, of all places, Detroit. And I lived in Detroit for 47 years. So I think I have a little insight on what might be coming for the great city of Chicago with this Hawks team. Nothing but good things to look forward to.
Well, Chris, we really appreciate that. Your phone's in and out, but I know Rocky wants to react. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Well, thank you, Chris. And Chicago is when teams that have done well and take it doesn't matter what the sport is, as long as the fans realize that they're playing, the Hawks are playing hard 3 periods, if it's football, basketball, or baseball, that they're trying their hardest. That's the blue collar, attitude, mentality that we want to be able to have in our hockey teams. And Dale's done a great job also making sure that that same blue collar work ethic also goes into the values in the locker room. And if you put those two together, you can have a pretty successful organization and a fun team and someone you want to be around.
Thanks a lot to Chris. And you got to see Jack.com. My guy's Jack Phelan Chevrolet. It's home of the GM Total Confidence Package. 5 years, 100,000 miles, powertrain warranty. Check it all out at my guy's Jack Phelan Chevrolet. You gotta see Jack.com. If anyone understands, time for a little promotion and a little commercial break. It'd be a guy like Rocky Wirtz. And our final caller for Rocky is Jim in Hinsdale. Hello, James. Jim, you still there? Jim's been holding and holding and holding. One more time. Jimmy, you still there, buddy? Now, Jim wanted to just say thanks for the family. Maybe the boss said, get off the phone, get back to work, Jim.
His wife probably had the honey-do list.
Oh, I like that one even more. You have that around the house just like I do.
Absolutely. It's just good to go to work. You don't have to do it working around the house.
That's my little secret. Ixnay. Jim from Hinsdale, he just wanted to say, and I think everyone echoes as we get ready to say goodbye, thanks for the family atmosphere, and it's just a terrific atmosphere. From across the street, the old barn, we found this in the archives. We'll leave you with this, Rocky. The old pipe organ across the street. Hit it there, Brendan, real loud. Remember this? Listen for a minute, Rocky. There's a shot. And a goal. How about that? Brings back. I know you still had some of the new organ ideas, but you couldn't bring the old one across the street. But boy, that sounded great there, didn't it?
It really did. And back in the old days, when Al Melgard used to play that thing, he made that thing just sing like a singer.
I always loved the way he would have to look at the game in a mirror backwards. Remember up there?
Well, he probably went home and looked at the rearview mirror. He couldn't figure out how to drive.
He thought Bobby Hull was a right winger for 20 years.
And that dark hair.
I love that too. Hey, Rocky, thanks for joining us. The fans chant Rocky, 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 and I'm sure in their cars and at home they're doing it right now. Enjoy your off season. I know you guys are going to keep on rolling, keep moving, and hopefully many, many more fine years to the ultimate, which we all are waiting for. When the time's right, it'll happen, right?
Well, thanks, Murph. I can promise the fans that we're going to work very hard this off season to make it even better next year.
Great job. Thank you, Rocky.
Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. It's Rocky Wirtz. Blackhawks chairman is Murph. This hour of the score brought to you by Menards. Hey, when we return, some Derrick Rose. Also going to address briefly the Cubs sale or non-sale. Why? Sunday Tribune with one direction and the current Crane's Chicago business the opposite direction. Even the insiders writing the columns are at opposite ends to whether this sale will come through or not. It's the score back in a flash. It's Murph, driven to you by Chevy. DriveChicago.com. Thank you, Rocky Wirtz. Murph till 2. Covered a lot of baseball in the first hour. Sox fans, we don't want a guy that doesn't want to be here. Peavy, Oswald, we don't want a guy that doesn't. I don't blame him. Fred McGriff ended up with the Cubs, and he was terrible. And Cub fans, we talked about, did Jim Hendry plan on no payroll flexibility? But you know what? I want to, in the next segment, maybe we can set this up now. Our early text question was, did Derrick Rose orchestrate this all by himself? And 88% of you said, no, he didn't orchestrate this thing all by himself.
Round up the usual suspects.
Round up the usual suspects. What I want to do, after a scoreboard update, if he indeed, Derrick Rose, did not orchestrate all this by himself, let's
round up the usual suspects.
Let's round up the usual suspects. So what I'd like to do is open up Judge Murphy's fans court. And I want to hear from you. Let's try to compile our list of suspects. Who do we want to indict? Who are the conspirators? If indeed, and I agree with 88% of you who all said, you know what, there's no way Derrick Rose changed his own grades. No way he orchestrated someone sitting in at the SATs. So let's go a little farther now. Let's push the football down the field. Let's have a fast break. Let's transition. Who would be some of the suspects that would be involved? Who stands to benefit from Rose's grade changing? Who are the suspects that would benefit? Who has a vested interest in Derrick Rose changing grades and having someone sit in on his SATs. I want to round up the
usual suspects.
Round up the usual suspects when we return 644-6767. He didn't do it by himself. Who had an interest, probably a vested interest, monetary interest, in his passing through the high school curriculum? Fans Court next. Judge Murphy, 644-6767. Back in a flash. Sports Radio 670. Driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. Now it's Judge Murphy. See you, Murph. Mike Murphy leaving the studio. Judge Murphy, 644-6767. I'd like to round up the usual suspects right now.
Round up the usual suspects.
Round up the usual suspects. You have already determined in the first hour with heavy texting numbers at 88%, yes or no, did Derrick Rose orchestrate all this himself? 12% of you said, yeah, Murph, he changed his own grade. He worked out someone coming in and sitting in there for his SATs, you know. He did all that. It was 88%. He said, no. Someone had to help him. So, the fans' court is in session, and I want to ask you, if indeed he didn't do this himself, let's figure out who would be the suspects, the co-conspirators that would, here's the key, stand to benefit from changing Derrick Rose's grades. Now, we all have suspects in mind, but I want to hear from you also. 644-6767. Fans Court is in session. First in line, Brian is a truck phone. He was over near the Tri-State Tollway. Hello, Brian.
What's up, Murph?
Hey, Brian, welcome to Judge Murphy's Fans Court. If you buy into, as I do, that he did not do all this himself, who would be one of the suspects?
I do believe it would be the dean of the school.
Now, are you talking Memphis or Simeon High School?
Both.
So both schools in cahoots working on this one together? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. You know, there's going to be money going by. He gets good grades. He keeps playing. More TV coverage. The schools are making money off of that. And then you're going to make the school more attractive, more student body, more tuition going into the school. Hey, it's a money game.
But
money.
I'm going to ask you to narrow it down. So you're saying Memphis, the university, was the one that really had had the vested interest in this.
Yeah, but they got a little help from Simeon.
Thank you very much, Brian. 644-6767. I don't know. I can't split those. It's got to be one or the other. Now, who would be in line to help out or benefit Derrick Rose? Now, Judge Murph will say this. It may not have to be someone with a monetary vested interest. It may not be that someone stood to make money on this. Could be, let's start the list, a friend. Just a friend. A high school chum. Suspect number one, before the subpoenas and the indictments come down from the fans' court. We're not going to indict anybody unless we can indicate that they're a co-conspirator. A friend, a high school chum, was able to pull this all off. Always a suspect, someone that might gain monetarily, would be family member. A suspect also would be agent. You always have to look at the agent. The university. Memphis stands to gain quite a bit. You could even go up the food chain, though I'm not sure that they would want to be involved, to be implicated, because they certainly wouldn't want to be indicted, but the NBA. Friends, family, agent, University of Memphis, high school, NBA. He did not do this on his own. We don't condone this. He should step up and say exactly what happened. But someone, 88% of you argue, someone helped him. Let's go next to Sean from Westville, Indiana. Hello, Sean.
Hey, Murph.
No, it's Judge Murphy right now. Please, show some respect.
I apologize, Your Honor.
What do you think, Sean? everybody always has to have someone helping him, and unless 12% who said, oh, Murphy did this on his own, which I find unbelievable. Who stood to benefit from this? We're just putting together our list of suspects so we can get to work later.
It has to be the University of Memphis, Murph.
Uh-huh.
I mean, NCAA is corrupt as it is. Anybody that is surprised by this is ridiculous. If Derrick Rose was smart enough to do it himself, he wouldn't have needed someone to cheat on him on the test in the first place.
So let's use your theory and go step 2, Sean. If indeed the university somehow was involved and complicit in this, how would they have started the ball rolling? In other words, he's still a senior. He's in high school. They would have to, approach him, approach his guys, then find someone at the high school level to change. I agree with you that they are a very, very number one suspect, but how would they pull it off is my next question, because I agree with you, but how do they do it?
Well, it's simple, Murph. I mean, you ever see the movie Blue Chips? The coaches or the coaching staff, they come to see the kid, and then they said, what do we need to do to have you come to the school? And obviously, if his grades were subpar, he'll probably say, well, I guess I need a better aptitude test in order to get into college, because that is a government-regulated thing. So obviously, things can be fixed.
Now, hold that thought. Let's look at it more. How many people, and here's the thing, anytime you try to create something under the radar, the more people that know about it, the more chance you have that someone's going to be a whistleblower, right?
Absolutely.
How many people would have to be involved? And everything you've said, I'm with you. So let's go one more step here, and then I'll get to the other phone call. Sean from Westville, Indiana. How many people would Memphis have had to contact on your scenario locally here in Chicago?
I'd say it's maybe 3 at the most. You're looking at the head coach, their lead scout, and maybe someone else in the University of Memphis staff. At 4 if it has something to do with the contact with the school, but I'd say 4 at the most.
Now, that sounds sort of dangerous if I'm the guy trying to put it together. I don't know that I want more than one person in on it, but I don't think one person could have done it, so I'm with you.
Absolutely not, Murph. It's got to take a couple of people to get the ball rolling.
Oh, what evil webs we weave when first we practice to deceive. That's what my mom told me when I was 8 years old.
Yep.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Murph.
And I think last year she said it again. Let's go to, we're big in Indiana, back home again. Michael from Mishawaka. Hello, Michael.
Morning, Murphy. How are you, sir?
Judge Murphy, very happy to be with you. Michael, round up the suspects. Who do you have to consider involved with this if you believe that Derrick Rose did not do this on his own?
Of course not. He's a 16-year-old young man.
All right,
Let's look at this analytically, please.
Yeah, please.
Number one, you must create a viable, feasible product for the universities. Now, Derrick Rose was an outstanding high school talent. I further believe that there were many schools possible that he could have picked.
All right.
So it has nothing to do with any university being wrong. It has to do with Derrick Rose presenting himself with viable, feasible, good grades.
I'm with you, and I like your analysis. Now carry the ball down the field. Continue.
Let me go. Let me continue here. So in order to do so, sir, who stands to gain at the high school level to make himself available and feasible for the universities? Who's responsible for gaining? His mother, father, or legal guardian gets a big piece of coin out of that contract. The high school principal and the head basketball coach know he has bad grades.
How does the principal benefit?
Well, I'm sure there's an under-the-table donation to high school for changing those grades.
That would be a possibility.
It's called a bribe, like the politicians taking money for every damn thing.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that, yeah.
So it's mom, mother, or the legal guardian, mother, dad, or legal guardian must first give the okay to change the grades on the son. And it's beneficial for them and the family to get that big contract for him.
Why would the parents have to be involved in okaying a grade change?
Because they have to be on board with this. They have to know about it. They're not going to let anything happen to their son in his future.
Well, I'm not sure that they have to. I would imagine it's possible. But you've got a very good legal mind, Michael, so give me some wiggle room. Don't say they have to. Say that it's a possibility, because that would be correct.
Well, you have to. It's who stands to gain money and who's directly responsible for the young man's future and his reputation.
That would be one possibility. I agree with you there. Michael, great to hear from your analysis, from your analytical mind. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Have a great day, sir.
Thank you. And my final visitor to the fans' court is longtime score guy, and Lizard is with me. Hi, Lizard.
How you doing, Judge Murphy?
Judge Murphy's fine. Lizard, put a little cherry on top of the whipped cream here for me, okay?
Murph, the person that tends to score most on this is the high school coach. This coach can recruit within the city. He gets the best talent in his school. He gets these blue chippers to go wherever they want, to any university, any college in the nation. This guy has all kind of scouts coming to him, coaches coming to him, shoe companies coming to him to get his talent. Now, in the same instance, when he puts a kid into a university who goes on to the pros, now his prestige goes up within the community. His trust is made, he's bonded, he's ready to go. He is now the basketball factory in this city. So this coach is definitely getting the perks.
Northside Lizard, always able to break it down. 15, 16 years calling in on the score. Lizard, hope all is well. Always great to see that your name is up on my call screen. Thank you, Lizard.
Murph, you take care, and listeners, goodwill to you.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. So, Judge Murphy's fans court, rounding up the suspects and...
Round up the usual suspects.
The coach, the family, the high school, the college, the agent. Everybody is a suspect except the NBA, who, when you look at the big picture, if they had not installed the rule that a high school senior cannot play in the NBA, none of this would have had to have been orchestrated, not that we are condoning or giving a pass to anybody who was involved. Fans court no longer in session this hour. Mike Murphy back. Thank you, Judge Murph. This hour, the Mike Murphy Show, brought to you by Menards. Round up the usual suspects. I like doing little movie lines. Now I got to go play some golf.
The Ricketts family. Where's that at? Where's the sale of the team? Is that holding you up at all? Is it having any kind of impact?
Well, Molly and I have actually we're well on our way to the $25 million. We got about 200 collected. We want to be shareholders. Yeah.
Oh, have you ever met a GM that always didn't want more money? You wouldn't want that guy in the job if he didn't want to always keep getting better players, more players.
That was Jim Hendry.
Finding yourself short on time to read your favorite columnists today?
1 month ago.
Fear not, because it's time for Mike Murphy's Compressed Column.
They write them.
They write them.
We read them.
You hear them. Here on WSCR. The Score.
30 days ago now, telling Fred Mitchell in the Tribune, well, you know, maybe the day-by-day is hindered a little bit. How about these two opposing columns? If you pick up your current Crane Chicago Business dated May 29th, headline Trib, Ricketts, closer to closing, Cubs sale. The two hang-ups, as you well know, the TV rights and the borrowed money financing required by Sam Zell. Everything appears to be in place, it says. However, 2 days later, if you picked up yesterday's Sunday, May 31st, Chicago Tribune business section, static flares on Cubs deal. The Ricketts family is planning to deliver a comprehensive package to the Tribune this week. Revenue and media numbers. If you read this Tribune piece, it looks like they are far, far, far from agreeing on TV future rights and revenue and still getting all of the funding. So, one paper, the Tribune, says far away. The Cranes business says could happen any day. So who knows? I know nothing. I think they know less than I. Murph saying thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. Hey, what's your beef?
Tomorrow. Now go have another beer. Don't bother me.
Instead of the week.